Hello everybody, my name is Tommy Canada. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's actually my very first YouTube video and I'll be talking to you about model railroading. Somewhat of a new hobby, but not entirely new. I used to be into the hobby when I was younger, kind of quit around 16, 17 when I picked up other interests, obviously. Now I have a bit more free time, I want to get back at it. Now, growing up in Germany, Marklin was the brand that everybody was into, and that's what I'll be continuing. Now I'm living in Canada, in Ontario. With the climate here, obviously, it's a good winter sport. I don't do any skiing or skating, but it is a good winter sport. So I want to get back at it, and I'll be building a layout. And things are a lot more complicated. The days of 4x8 piece of plywood, trains running in ovals, maybe a bigger railway are over. Now it's all about multi-level and digital, software, programming, logic, and of course with that comes great expense. So a bit daunting, but I've been watching YouTube for several months now, learning a lot. You get to a point where you gotta sort of just start. I can watch YouTube, and I've been doing sketches and planning and budgeting and blah blah. You gotta start. So here I am. I'm starting. Hope you can come with me again on this journey. And today what I want to do is talk about my track plan. Originally I bought K-Track, and this is what I had as a child. And I wanted to put the K-Track in the visible areas because it is a bit more authentic looking. And the new C-Track, put that sort of in the, the shadow station, if you will, down below. However, I did set things up recently and pulled out the old K-Track. Bit of rust, a bit of bending. The design of the K-Track has changed over the years. Back in the early days it wasn't quite as robust. Anyways, it's a bit used, a bit suspect. And now with things no longer being analog, because I do want to go digital, there may be greater potential for short circuit. So I decided to abandon the K-Track, go all C-Track. So really I'm starting from scratch. Put my track in storage. I didn't really have that much anyway. Only had, I think, 3 pairs of switches. So it wasn't a huge abandonment. More the issue was around my locals, but more about that later. So here I am. I want to do a layout. I don't want to go too crazy and too massive because of the expense and the degree of difficulty. I do want to challenge myself a little bit, so I kind of want to go in the medium range in terms of complexity. Also, I'm not overly handy. I do remember my shop teacher telling me once, "Hey, you've got you've got 2 left hands." Well, thank you very much. But anyways, I do want to challenge myself. So what do? I looked at track plans. I'm not one for originality in terms of creation. It's not my competency. So I'd rather look at other plans that are already existing and try to model those. I looked at many. Where did I go? I did go to the Marklin website. They have, under the Marklin magazine tab in German, they do have downloadable track plans, and there are exactly 84 of them, last count. And I did look at them all, and I shortlisted about 10 that met my criteria. And I'm a Mac guy, so I used Model Railroader Pro. It allows you to create inventory, create parts list of what's required, and you can really budget things very quickly in terms of what's needed and kind of phase it in terms of the purchasing. So that's what I use, and I ended up building 2 of the top layouts, and from that I sort of got a perspective on, okay, which one do I want? I want to show you quickly. I'll just show you which ones I considered and why I chose the one I did. Okay, so here we have the layout, one of the layouts. So the different layers are depicted by color. So we have the blue layer for a level 0, if you will, on the base plate, which is a shadow station. You have a second shadow station in red, smaller somewhat, with a turning loop. The main layer is in green with the railway station here. And then we have a ramp that goes from the main layer down to the shadow station, depicted in orange. And let's try to break that down a bit. This is a 3D view. This is the shadow station, right? So we have the ramp coming down as a turning loop back out of the shadow station, or down the ramp, park in one of these 3 tracks there. So we back up a bit, and very briefly I'll show you the turning loop, which is here. Very simple. I wasn't quite sure whether to just do a simple turning loop or add a few tracks as a kind of a second shadow station, and which I did, because you know what, I had the tracks, and I had the switch, so why not put it in? So we have that on top of this is at 10 centimeters height, or about 3 inches, if you will, 3.5 inches. Good enough clearance between the two. And then we of course have the main layer right here, which is at 15 centimeters above the blue. So just to kind of zero in on that a bit, we take these out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 main tracks, and kind of a secondary track, and room for a locomotive shed back here. I really like this design. It's simple. I like the ramp. I don't have to build a turning kind of a loop to get up and down various levels, which are a bit challenging, I think, from the outset. I like the size. It fits into the space. Again, 4.20 meters by 1 meter 40, which is about 4 feet by 12, 13 feet. Now, the problem was that the width became a problem, and I had sort of a mini crisis one day going, you know, I bought all the track for this thing, I was really psyched, and then I figured, well, you know, I've got a wall here, wall back here, it's going to be on wheels, I can move the thing. However, I can't reach when I'm building, or, heaven forbid, something goes wrong with my shadow stations. I can probably get under here a little bit, but I can't really get at it. You know, 4 feet is just too wide to be working on a layout. So, unfortunately, I had to abandon this and re-review my shortlist, and I came up with one that I'm actually quite pleased with. And let me just show you what I'm actually going to be building. Okay, here is the track plan that I will be building. Very excited about it. First thing, of course, you notice it's L-shaped. So we're retaining sort of the same configuration, the rectangle. It is the same length, roughly 14 feet, which is the 4.20 meters. But I've tacked on this part here that makes up the L, and that is roughly 4 feet by 4 feet. So the main thing, of course, was I was having trouble with the previous layout on the width of the layout. Instead of 140 meters, it is now 1.20 meters. I've done some reaching exercises, sort of tests, and I'm really looking forward to building this. So let's break it down very briefly. What you're looking at is the shadow station, which is either on the base plate, not sure yet, or the design calls for 5 centimeters or roughly 2 inches above it. And I think it makes integration with the next level a bit easier, and slopes and things. The layout, the previous one, so the first runner-up, or the runner-up if you will, was 75 meters in length, so roughly 200 feet. And this one is 60 meters in length. And that can be pretty much attributed, the difference, to the one shadow station I'm eliminating. So that was about the 15 meters or 50 feet. So about 150 feet of track. Now, if you go to the 3D view here, this is the shadow station. So you come in, you've got a track to drive through on, or you can park 2 trains. Now these are very long, so that is good. They're 7 feet long, so that's pretty good. I can park some pretty long trains there. So obviously I think my railway station isn't quite that long, so probably be double parking. These are even longer, like this is massive, so I'm very excited about that. The initial design only had sort of a track that was kind of a throughfare, and then 1, 2 for parking. But there's room here, and I did add a 3rd track on this coming into this direction here. So the ones that travel basically from top to the bottom of your screen. I had the track, I had the switch, so why not? Why not? So that is the shadow station. Okay, so here we have the main layer. What you'll notice here in red is kind of a local train that is going to be just going up to the hillside here, and that goes up to like about 23 centimeters, 25 centimeters. We'll see how the grading works out. But in terms of the main railway station, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks, as I said, a couple sidings, local here, again green visible, and then from here, of course, we go into a shadow station at this end and at that end. So put that all together, and here we have my layout. So I am excited. Gonna get going in terms of construction very soon. And so next time we see you, it'll be me building kind of the base plate and the foundation made out of wood. So till next time, we'll see you then.